Grimlock versus Ares, the god of war versus the beast of Iacon. Who wins? Let's talk about it. But before we really begin here, I think it is better that we do establish some ground rules for this matchup here. Because again, these two do have a little bit of context. For starters, we'll be using at full strength, no weakness, standard gear, meaning Ares would get his axe and his sword, while Grimlock would have his sword and his Dinobot form as well. Standard forms as well, so no higher forms or anything. Then we'll also give them just simply their IDW and 616 feet, so you won't see Takara, Dreamwave, or none of that. And then we'll just be putting them in a gladiator arena so that they can simply fight to the death. You know, just a standard gladiatorial-like match where they'll simply just rush at each other and then they'll just start swinging. You know, something that both of these muscle heads would definitely love. So with that being said here, please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. And without further ado, let us begin. Now, starting off with Ares from Marvel, he's actually a pretty interesting character, especially when it comes to this power dynamic. For starters, currently he was able to fight against Anansi, the spider god, and was actually able to imbue others with his power that made them capable of pressing Hercules a little bit, which is not bad, but again, Hercules is a lot stronger than these gods still, so I guess it's not too much of a power boost. But again, Ares himself has always been this powerhouse. I'm not sure what class I would put him in, but he's definitely around the levels of Thor and Hercules, as his feats kind of speak for itself. For starters, he's been able to restrain Hercules for a good amount of time, even restraining crazed Hercules for a while. He's beaten down A-Bomb, someone who's went toe-to-toe with Red Hulk and even managed to actually scratch the actual Hulk. And he's actually been able to somewhat hold his own against Sentry. Keep in mind, characters like these can transcend dimensions via their godhood, so Ares being somewhat comparable to them is not bad, especially with the fact that he was able to get the upper hand on Thor back in their class. He's not too weak, if you guys get what I mean. However, Ares does have some way more impressive feats, especially with the likes of his axe. For starters, that axe is virtually no joke at all. It's cut through characters like Venom, has been able to cut the Chaos King. Okay, he's been able to cause him pain with that. And again, Ares himself also again still has characters, or basically feats of him being able to stagger and harm much more powerful characters. Chaos King, Chaos War Hercules, like I said before, characters that can destroy over 99.9 or 98.8% of the Marvel multiverse, and he's able to take attacks from them even when they're being a little sadistic and torturous. So Ares is actually able to endure quite a lot, even taking attacks from his father Zeus, who is a sky father, even being able to punch him hard enough to draw blood. As for speed, he's able to react to Hermes on multiple occasions, and again, even reacting to characters like Anansi the Spider God, who's basically above every Spider-Man, who I think we all realistically know are faster than light and stuff like that when it comes to reaction and combat speed. And keep in mind, Anansi can actually be counted as a narrative manipulator, considering he controls the story of every Spider-Man. Okay, now while Ares is great and all, he still has moments where he does fall short. Thor and Hercules have been known to bully him. He gets bullied by the Hulk consistently. Unfortunately, stuff like that, he does get bullied by Hulk a lot. It's it just ain't looking good out there. Even being able to, he does have some impressive feats, don't get me wrong, but again, he's not on that exact levels of even characters like that. Even the likes of Sentry. I mean, it's pretty understandable. Sentry is a Hulk and Thor level being here. Has been able to just ragdoll and bully him, even though despite the fact that Ares does get a good stab off on him. He's able to cut and even harm Sentry's physical form with the axe. Even his, smaller edge, he's able to harm him. So he's got some pretty good feats and all. But again, still kind of lacking, if you get what I mean. But with that being said here, let's see if these feats are enough for him to go against the Beast of War himself. So just to clarify the rules again, we are using IDW Grimlock here. No Takara, no Dreamwave, none of that. We are using the IDW rendition. And as I said before, we are using him at full power. But Legendary, what do you mean? Grimlock himself was brain damaged after a while, especially after his torture from Overlord in the Autobot prison. Because again, he was arrested for a crime he did a while back because Ultra Magnus, who can actually be a sellout sometimes, so it's absolutely ridiculous. So with that being said here, we're going to use a full-powered, non-brain damaged Grimlock. Let's talk about it. Keep in mind, even in a brain damaged state, he was still able to beat the absolute crap out of Tarn to the point where he scarred his face under the mask. Do you know how hard you got to hit somebody to scar their face even with their mask on? Absolutely ridiculous. And it got so bad that the Decepticon Justice Division had jumped in. Keep in mind, Grimlock at full strength is an absolute monster. He took a blast from Optimus Prime. Same Optimus Prime that can one-shot Galvatron with these kind of blasts, mind you. And then we also have, keep in mind, him being able to take blasts from Shockwave and the fact that no Decepticon could do anything to him. Here's also another fun and crazy fact. When actually fighting against Megatron during the Transformers Monstrosity arc, Megatron confirms that Grimlock holds back against him. Grimlock deliberately holds back against Megatron. Absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? But here's the funny thing, right? If you guys actually look at his IDW profile page, Grimlock's strength does not have a set measurement. They actually consider him in the same strength class as Metroplex himself, a Titan, even in the same ballpark as characters like Omega Supreme, which means you can actually compare him to them in the feats that they've done. Then you have the fact that Grimlock is a master at combat or pit combat, basically gladiatorial combat. And keep in mind, Cybertronians mastered their techniques, and they are over thousands of years old, before even humanity itself. So again, he is able to master a combat form based on gladiatorial combat. Not only that, he was also able to harm Trypticon, both on his outside and his insides as well. No diddy. Now, him being able to harm Trypticon in this weakened or mentally drained state, if you will, is actually impressive, considering the fact that Trypticon's insides were actually immune to Megatron's fusion cannon. You know, the same fusion cannon that was able to harm the Void. You know, the same Megatron that's capable of doing that as well, and almost one-shotting Galvatron as well. I know, absolutely crazy, isn't it? It's insane. So the fact that Grimlock was not only able to knock out Trypticon by destroying his brain, but again, the fact that he was able to get on his back and start ripping at him and actually causing him pain, when again, the entire Autobot army couldn't do anything. And again, I feel like that's very impressive, especially for the Dinobots, because Optimus was going to pull out the Matrix and deem Trypticon a Matrix level threat. Now, the Autobots here would include beings like Ironhide, who I've actually shown on this channel before. You guys can go ahead and look up Ironhide versus Red Hulk, where I actually show Ironhide actually has some pretty impressive feats that actually put him around the Autoversal level, same as Red Hulk here, and it's absolutely crazy. But with that being said here, Grimlock overpowering Tarn is no joke, considering the fact that Tarn was able to beat the crap out of an Autobot Megatron. Yes, Megatron was in his passive phase, but that does not take away from his durability. Megatron himself had already upgraded himself with the remaining parts of his OR 13 body, which is the concept of power itself. Megatron, as you can see here, as his body's going purple, he used all the parts needed from that body to actually be able to upgrade himself, right? And keep in mind, him being able to withstand Optimus Prime's blast, which have been able to kill Galvatron when he's like had enough of him, and again, even one-shot him while Hot Rod one-shots Cyclonus. Again, this is the same Galvatron, mind you, that was able to fight against the dead universe, or Devoid himself, which again, Devoid is an entire dead multiverse, okay, with him actually absorbing all of his pocket realities into himself just so that he can gain more power. So Devoid himself is pretty overpowered, okay? Even being confirmed to be able to merge all of creation, including IDW's infinite timelines, even likely some of the crossovers as well, such as the likes of D&D and etc. Or My Little Pony, excuse me. Then you have the fact that how each Transformers universe, or even the multiverse itself, works. Each multiverse runs on quantum mechanics, diving into things like Hilbert space and containing many dimensions within it that transcend the concepts of time, space, and even death. And keep in mind, he would also scale above the likes of Hearts of Steel Optimus, who killed an Elder God. The Elder Gods are above the average D&D dragons, basically the children of Tiamat, obviously, right? And these guys are the most powerful beings in their respective plane. With Dungeons and Dragons, even the basic universe, even the basic multiverse, I should say, having beings like the Greek and Aesir gods, which are able to kill entities that exist on an infinite dimensional level and embody the concepts of the entirety of the multiverse. So Grimlock himself would actually be out-of-versal because he's beating up on entities that literally can affect concepts themselves. But let's get into the battle itself. So now we're here. Grimlock versus ARES. God of War versus Beast of War. Now, I understand the entire thing about ARES. He's a jobber. Alright? Let's be real. He's probably one of Marvel's biggest jobbers. And in all honesty, I might say he might be a bigger jobber than Fin Fang Foom. Imagine having your axe broken, the very weapon that we usually hype up, and it gets broken by Red Hulk. And you need Sentry and Wonder Man's help in order to beat him. Then we know you get dogged by Hercules and Thor on multiple occasions. I mean, I think the only reason that you even put up a fight against Thor is because Thor likes to hold back for the sake of his opponent. He doesn't want to go all out and accidentally, kill somebody, even fellow gods and stuff like that. So, obviously we have that. Then we have the, fight against Sentry. We saw how that went, where you just got elbowed and just ripped in half. I understand that. And then the most embarrassing thing is World War Hulk. He simply sidestepped you and one-shot you. Like, not even Colossus got one-shotted by World War Hulk. And he took multiple punches, mind you. So, yeah. Even compared to a brain-damaged Grimlock, at the very least, he was weakened. But even then, he still beat down one of the most feared Decepticons so badly that he scarred him under a mask. He hit him so hard that he was damaged. So imagine what would happen if he was at full strength. Tarn likely would have been dead. And again, I'm not saying that these characters are stronger or more powerful than some of the entities in Marvel. I think they're actually pretty equal. But even then, that's not to say what happened with King Grimlock, where Grimlock fought a being with literally infinite power. An actual, another god as well that also had infinite power and was actually influencing to travel the entirety of the cosmos and actually spread his influence. So you have that for him. So Grimlock being able to react and combat somebody with infinite to immeasurable levels of speed and stuff like that. Him also being comparable to Elder Gods and D&D characters, which, in all honesty, do rival Marvel and DC characters, as again, they all have out-of-versal levels of scaling with infinite levels of speed and dimensionality and stuff like that, right? But again, the fact that Grimlock himself is even comparable to that of Titans, above that of even characters like Optimus and Megatron, and even comparable to the likes of Combiners, which he's pretty much dismantled, having the amount of scaling he does, and he's more consistent than the likes of ARES as well, which also does not help ARES at all here. And again, in terms of where they're fighting, which again is just a simple gladiatorial pit, Grimlock is likely more skilled than the God of War, especially in his form of combat. Grimlock is confirmed to be a master at his. ARES, I think in one conversation in the comics, ARES was talking to another Aesir god, or sorry, not Aesir, another Greek god, right? He said, so you're more skilled than somebody. You're faster, you're smarter. But are you stronger than him? And that's when ARES, it kind of struck a nerve. Grimlock is stronger than ARES. I think no one is going to say anything about that. While I do think ARES may have a more, I'd probably say, guess a better battle IQ, maybe. Grimlock is not too far behind when it comes to gladiatorial combat. So, or when it comes to his own battle IQ. So, he's more skilled. He's definitely fast enough to tag and even harm ARES. And he's stronger and more durable. Plus, his sword should be able to block ARES' axe. So, with that being said, with all these things considered, and the feats of just simply IDW Grimlock alone, I'm going to definitely say Grimlock takes this mid to possibly even low difficulty if he starts trying. So, that's going to do it all for today, you guys. Please comment down below, like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and I'll see you guys for another video.